Hey everyone, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make Deep House like Selected. It's going to sound something like this. So, you can get the project file and samples from this video and all that kind of stuff in the description for free, so make sure to check that out. And yeah, let's dive in. So the first thing we have going on here is the bass, which sounds like this. So we have two layers going on here. We have a sub and this sort of mid bass. So I'm going to show you the sub first. The way I made this is it's just a sine wave in 3x OSC, and then I have that going into a little bit of a fruity wave shaper here, just adding a little bit of harmonic content and kind of like making it a little bit more audible, as well as like, you know, a lot of low end and a lot of power in the sound. We also want a little bit of high harmonic content because, you know, you do want it to be like still audible. So I have that, and then I just have it going through this gross beat for kind of like a side chaining effect. So then as far as this mid bass goes, it's pretty simple. Basically I made it in Serum. So all it is the two sine waves doing some FM here. We have envelope 1 controlling the FM there. The second one is 2 octaves higher than the first one, as you can see. First one was at -2, second one was at 0. So that's important to note. I have no effects on this sound, and then I have it in the matrix here. I use the LFO 1 on the master tune, and you can see I have this set to envelope mode, so it's just going to restart every time a new note is hit. Yeah, you can see that resetting there. And yeah, so that's pretty simple. And then as far as the effects go on this sound, we have a little bit of gross beat, just like I did with the sub, for some side chaining kind of action. And then I have a fruity parametric EQ, just cutting out some low and cutting out a little bit around here. It was kind of getting in the way of the kick, so figured I would just clean that up. So the next thing we have going on here are the drums, which sound like this. So the way I made these are basically, you can see we just have a bunch of samples here. I'll show you the hi-hats and percussion first. So the way I sort of set these up in the mixer here is we have this hi-hat / percussions track, and then I have a kick and a clap. So on the hi-hats and percussion, really nothing too much. We just have this open hi-hat playing on the upbeats, and then we have a bunch of like closed hi-hats, and then this little rim shot giving it a little bit of groove. And I also should probably note right now, I do have the swing up a little bit. As you would probably imagine with any kind of like selected style house, you definitely want to play around with the swing knob. The cool thing with FL Studio is that you can just change this one and it'll impact the whole track, as opposed to like with Ableton where you got to do the individual grooves, or just a lot of other DAWs have a bunch of different things. But yeah, so I would definitely recommend taking advantage of that and just sort of playing with it. Like, you could even do more than this. I don't think you probably want to turn it up all the way, but, you know, something like that would be pretty good. And yeah, so then for processing on those, I just have this parametric EQ. It's just cutting out some low end. And yeah, so then for the kick and the clap, you can see the kick is pretty simple. It's just a pretty powerful, nice kick that worked well with the bass. And then, yeah, I really don't have any processing there. And then on the clap, I have a fruity wave shaper, just adding a little bit of nice saturation and like just kind of distorting it and beefing it up. I'll show you without that. And then with, you can hear it's just a lot more powerful. And then I have it going through this parametric EQ, which is just cutting out some of the low end. So pretty simple there for the drums. It's really more about the programming. So yeah, so next thing we have here is this lead, which sounds like this. So the way I made this is I have 2 layers. We have this one shot, and then we have this serum patch. So the way I did the one shot is pretty simple. It's just a one shot. And then I have these two going into their own mixer track. I had them grouped together just because like they kind of were in the same frequency range, and they didn't need any kind of like different processing for either one. So I just put them together. I think it sounds kind of nice. So I'll show you kind of what they're doing on their own, and then I'll show you what's going on in the serum patch. So this is the one shot on its own. So you can hear that's what's giving it that kind of like clicky, like sort of old school FM kind of sound. And then we have this pluck, which is giving it like still, you know, the clickiness and like that kind of FM sound, but this is mostly giving us like some higher harmonic stuff. So what I did to make this patch was basically I just used a sine wave in Serum, and then we have it going into a distortion and the multiband compressor, and then into a filter which is being controlled with this envelope 1. And that's what's giving us the Plex sound. So I'll show you kind of like if we turn these all on and off. So there's just the sine wave. There's the distortion. And then the compression. And then the filter sort of tie it all together. Now, to get the clickiness on this sound, similar to the bass, if we go into the matrix, you can see I used LFO2 here. Again, just on envelope mode, just like with the bass, just on the master tuning to give it that sort of click. And yeah, those are the leads. Now, as far as the effects go on these, they're pretty simple. We just have a little bit of reverb, which is set like this. I just used Fruity Reverb too. Just gave it a little bit of decay time, a little bit of dry wet. You don't want to go too hard with this, but you do really need it for the atmosphere. I've heard, like, when people try to make it a little bit too dry, I don't think it sounds very good. This style needs to have that, like, atmosphere in the background. So I have the reverb. Then we have a second Fruity Reverb, which basically I have this automation clip in here. So if I play this in the actual song, and I'll solo this mixer track, you can hear that little reverb sweep. That's being controlled by this Fruity Reverb 2 here. So what I did was I turned the dry wet all the way up, or I turned the dry all the way down and the wet all the way up, and then I turned the decay time up pretty high. I guess you can just do it all the way. And then I automated this little mix level knob here. So you can see this little automation clip. I'll play it from here, and you can kind of see what's going on if I open up the mixer. So you can see that just automated on, and that's how you do those little reverb sweeps. So there are kind of a lot of ways to do this, but this is a really good way to do it in FL Studio because, you know, it's not too much of a hassle, and it's just kind of a quick way to get that cool, like I said, that reverb sweep sound. So the last thing we have going on here are these vocal chops, which sound like this. So the way that I made these was I took these two different like vocal little hook things that I had from some sample packs. These are included in the project file if you want to play around with these. But yeah, I'll kind of play these through. So that's the first one, and then this is the second one. So you can hear I just kind of took these ones that had like a lot of interesting kind of melodic stuff going on, and what I did was I put them into Slice X and just had that chop them up. And then what I did was I made these little patterns. So you can see the pattern for this first one. I don't need all this over here. I'll delete that. But you can see the pattern for this first one is just kind of like, it's just like that. Just something simple and quick and repetitive. And then for the second one, it just plays at this last bar here. So again, just like a simple kind of rhythmic pattern. So I recommend, you know, just taking vocal hooks from sample packs and like, you know, chopping them up with Slice X. You'd really be surprised what you come up with. Like, you can kind of get some cool stuff from like different random things. So that was how I made those. And then as far as effects go on those, I just have those going into a mixer channel together. Obviously, since they're both vocals, really doesn't matter. And then I have a little bit of Fruity Reverb 2 on there, just a bit of decay time and a bit of dry wet. And then I have a gross beat doing like a side chaining kind of things. So that's gonna be it for today's video. You know, like I said, make sure to let me know what you think in the comments, as well as subscribe. And make sure to check out the samples and project file from this video as well, because you can get them for free in the description. Thank you again, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another tutorial.